That's not a comic book. Now that's a comic book. That's not a comic book.
That will do it for that one.
that's
Hi
a
everyone,
comic
welcome
book.
to another episode of Comic Reviews. I hope that intro worked. It's hard to tell. I hope everyone's doing well. I forgot to put on my headphones, and that's why I don't put on my headphones, because I forgot about the program. Hopefully all is doing well. Looks like the stream's working out okay. Looking good. Not sure if I have anyone here yet. That's okay. Couple of announcement things to take care of before I get into the show itself today. So please bear with me for that one. Everyone, of course, say hi to Haley as she walks through the background. She loves it when you say hi to her. That's why she tells me to shut up, because she's just overwhelmed with so much love. You'll have to pardon my holy glare. Guess I'm being summoned by the Lord, but you guys are more important. Anyway, it's summer, and so the third spring, so the weather's changing. Now I actually got light coming in naturally and not doing this in the dark. Anyway, before we get into the episode tonight, I want to make a couple announcements. The first one, for those that didn't see it, is the monthly comic roundup show where the Vacuuminator and I are going to talk about our top books from every week of the month of April. That is scheduled for April 28th at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That'll be live, of course, so you can stop by and check that show out. That's always a lot of fun. And, we're working on making that a regular thing. So there's the first thing to look forward to. Also, while there is still time, we have the voting up for the next episode of Comic Book Club. And here are your choices. There's a video. I will leave a link in the description for those of you that are here after the fact. But we are doing DC again, and so we have 4 DC books to choose from. I went for All Earth 1 this time. So we have Volume 1 of Superman, Volume 1 of Batman, Wonder Woman Earth 1, and Green Lantern Earth 1. So there's plenty of stuff to look forward to. Go vote for which book you would like to discuss on the next episode of Comic Book Club. I've just hit the 1,500 subscriber milestone, so I figured it's not a bad idea to update you and remind people what the Comic Book Club is, for those that don't know. Comic Book Club is a monthly series where anyone who has a legal copy of the thing in which we're discussing, or the thing that we vote for, is able to join and join in the discussion. All you need is a microphone and headphones, and obviously an internet connection. A webcam is preferred, but nowhere near required. So yeah, if you have any of the Earth 1 books on here and you vote for one of them, you can join the Comic Book Club, and we'll be discussing one of these babies. So hope to see you there. Hope we get a bunch of turnout for this one. The rest of the details for that are in the vote video, and I'll go over them again in the announcement video. So hope to see people there. Hope you show up. Anyway, I think that's enough waiting. I think we can go ahead and get into what we'll be talking about today. So, got a pretty good sized week. For single issues this week, we'll be discussing Sonic the Hedgehog, number 4, The Flash, number 45, Wonder Woman, number 45, Batman Beyond, number 19, Exiles, number 2, Darth Vader, number 15, and Trinity, number 22. So plenty of single issues to get into in just a minute. And then for Trade Talk this week, we're continuing the series reviewing the Grant Morrison Justice League run by talking about Justice League of America, Strength in Numbers. This is an interesting one because it's got guest writers on it too. Anyway, so yeah, plenty of stuff to get into tonight, so we should have a pretty good episode going for us. Let's go ahead and get started with Sonic the Hedgehog, number 4. So this series is now 4 issues in. It was doing its whole 1 issue every week thing for the month of April. And so now we're 4 issues in, and I mean, I'm still having fun with it. It's still fun, cool action. We've introduced an original character whose name I've already forgotten. That's just the worst, isn't it? Tangle the Lemur. This, ladies and gentlemen, is Tangle the Lemur. I've no doubt in my mind there's already disturbing fan art of her on the internet. And Blaze the Cat shows up in this issue too. And so I don't mind introducing a new character. I think it's fine to have Blaze come in, and Blaze says something about the Fire Emeralds. What are they called again? Soul Emeralds. The Soul Emeralds. Sorry, I'm not huge in my Sonic the Hedgehog lore. She says the Soul Emeralds alerted her there's a problem in this dimension. I didn't even know Blaze was from another dimension. This tells you how much I'm aware of for some of the modern Sonic lore. Anyway, she shows up, and so we're getting like the sense that there's a bigger thing going down. But what I was really disappointed by with this is we've been teasing that there's some new villain controlling Eggman's army. But like, we don't get a reveal on who that is. And at the end of the issue, we get Robotnik is back and obviously has evil plans, but what specifically those are, I don't know. That's just disappointing, you know? It's you set up a big villain, and I don't know. I'm not sure how much Ian Flynn, the writer, was aware of IDW's plan for marketing. But to me, 4 issues to release in 1 month, it seems like you should have a big hook to grab people and like a wow page turn moment for who is leading Robotnik's army that's not Robotnik. And they just don't. And that's disappointing. So yeah. Tangle the Lemur has a weird power with her tail where it can like grab on and stretch and pull things. So that's kind of cool, I guess. Again, a lot of fun action. The way the action is visually conveyed here is pretty good. There's no denying that. A lot of the way these scenes happen, just it feels very intense, very well conveyed actions. Just, I don't know. I've been on the fence as to whether or not I really want to add this to my poll. I've certainly enjoyed the series to this point. I just don't know how much I'm going to enjoy it month to month. And I don't know. I get a lot of books anyway. And I've given it 4 issues now. And it's certainly entertained me, but it hasn't really grabbed me. And I'm not the biggest Sonic comic book fan or anything like that. I think I'm going to pass unless there's like a big push from the comment section live or after the fact to get me to keep picking up Sonic. Because it's not the kind of book where it's going to be entertaining to watch me just shit on it. I'm going to kind of be just like, it's okay every week. But if you guys want me to keep reading it, I guess I will. So yeah, if I should continue to pick up Sonic the Hedgehog, let me know in the comments. Otherwise, I think I'm going to let this series kind of pass me by. Anyway, let's go ahead and move on. We got a very speedster-themed beginning to this week's episode of Comic Reviews as we move on to The Flash, number 45. So I'm picking this up by request because there's this big Flash War story arc that's starting up relatively soon, and this is kind of the prelude to it. This is also connected to DC Rebirth #1 in a way with Wally. I haven't been following anything Flash, so I really don't know what this deal is with Wally right now. So that's kind of, I guess, just whatever. Like, I opened this up, and I literally have no idea who a character is. I don't know who all girl in the purple is at all. Like, they say her name, nothing. It's not ringing any bells for me. I have no idea who that is. They talk to who is it? Mina. There's this Mina woman in prison who tried to kill Barry, apparently, under Grodd's control. I have no idea who she is. Apparently, Purple Gal's name is Avery. I don't know. There's a lot about this. I have no idea what's going on. Though I will give some credit to the artist on here. I do think that, who is it? Christian Duce does some pretty good art. And I really like Damien. He draws a solid Damien. That's really cool. And the Flash stuff in here is pretty good too, but that is a solid Damien. Yeah. And there's like this whole conversation between Barry and Iris. They're apparently not together. I feel really bad talking about this because I don't know what the fuck's going on in this book. They're apparently not together, but now they're back together or something. And Iris remembers Wally, and that makes him happy. But then she asks him, where is everyone else? And he has kind of a breakdown and suddenly seems to be remembering everything. There's also, I missed a whole section about Godspeed, who's a villain-ish character in this. So there's a lot of flashes. There's a lot of people with super speed. Okay. Whatevs, yo. I'm also confused as to how many people know Barry Allen is the Flash. Because it's weird. Like, he visits this Mina lady in Iron Heights, and she's talking to him and clearly aware that he's the Flash. And that's kind of the whole premise of their conversation. And then Wally and Avery bust in, clearly using their super speed, and hug Mina. And then Barry, like, walks down the hall to another part of Iron Heights and has a conversation with this lady who I don't think knows he's the Flash. And then there's Iris, who, like, apparently just found out he's the Flash. And I'm like, does everyone know he's the Flash, or no? There's just a lot here I don't understand, which is actually, it's okay. Because I've been reading this book, and for me, generally, I don't like when things hold your hand if I've been reading long term and they've been building up to a big, story arc. So I think it's fine that this doesn't really hold my hand, but at the same time, I'm like, if you're starting a big arc that's meant to kind of like attract new readers to the book, doesn't hurt to have some kind of catch up or something. Like, I'll go to Jeff Johns as an example. Like, Blackest Night, I really enjoy, and it is kind of the culmination of everything he was doing on the book to that point. But Blackest Night still started with a issue that kind of like moved the story forward, but like showed you all the machinations of what had been happening to that point. And so that had a really effective way of just, it felt like fresh and you could jump on, but if you were reading it at the time, it wouldn't feel like a ton of retread. I don't know. Kuma Ranger has given me some much needed context here. Avery's from the Chinese Justice League. Mina was one of the random people who gained speed powers from the Speed Force storm back in the beginning of Flash Rebirth run. That's interesting that a bunch of people got Speed Force powers. Okay. I I don't know. I'm kind of a little on the fence about it. I am certainly interested to see what the hell is going to provoke Wally and Barry to be fighting with each other. Wally remembering everything seems to be like what's going to kick this all off. Yeah, okay. Whatevs, y'all, whatevs. Apparently Barry listens to Neil deGrasse Tyson audio while he's running around as the Flash. And I find that kind of funny. Like, it's reasonably in character that's what he would listen to. I probably would have gone for someone maybe a little more obscure, like, shit, his name escapes me, so it's kind of a moot point, but, what is the dude with the white hair, older Asian man, whatever. But, like, the thing that gets me most about this is, like, he listens to it at a speed that she is able to comprehend and recognize as Neil deGrasse Tyson when in reality, if the Flash is listening to something, it should be at super speed so that he'd actually be able to understand it when he's going that fast. You know, what was it? The Because Science show on Nerdist did a whole episode about Quicksilver scene in X-Men Days of Future Past where he puts on the headphones and listens to Time in the Bottle, and he's like, actually, if you spin it up to this rate, you'd actually be able to perfectly hear it that way. So maybe he should have done that. Anyway. Let's go ahead and move on to Wonder Woman number 45. I continue to not be a fan of this run. I continue to just kind of bide my time until Williamson's off this book. It's not a bad issue, though. It's okay. It's alright. It's got its moments. It's got a moment in here I genuinely like, but it's kind of surrounded by stuff I don't. And it is a little cheesy, even given that, but I'll take some cheese just to get some enjoyment out of this, which has just been a real slog to get through lately. So yeah, Williamson continues to just not really deliver all that well. He's definitely gotten better at just actually writing Wonder Woman, though. I'll give him that. I don't know, I just continue to be generally unimpressed with this. Wonder Woman's fighting Darkseid. He's turned the Amazons into parademons. Jason goes through this portal to Themyscira to help fight there. And Hippolyta takes out Grail, which is kind of cool. Wonder Woman gets knocked down, though. Here's the moment I actually genuinely liked. Wonder Woman gets knocked down by Darkseid. And she says, he's so strong, I'm beginning to think he may be right, that I can't defeat him. Then, no wait, I know what to say. This is Steve Trevor. Win or lose, do or die, I'll be by your side. I believe in you, and I love you. And Wonder Woman says, that's it, Steve. Love. Hatred won't win this. Violence. But love just might. And she goes and runs toward Darkseid. And since Darkseid had gained his powers by absorbing the Greek... gained his powers back by absorbing the Greek gods, Wonder Woman tells him, I'm not going to fight your darkness. I come with love. No, not for you, but rather for my father and half-siblings you murdered. My blood. That shared blood, that energy is a connection. I want them to know I love them. I want them to feel me. And if I can connect, if my love is bright and true, I can draw them out. And so she kind of like takes the gods away from Darkseid. I like that notion that Diana doesn't beat Darkseid by beating him up. Grant Morrison in Wonder Woman Earth 1 discussed the idea that, Wonder Woman is shown with the sword so often, fighting battles and winning them the way that we in man's world have come to understand how you gain victory. Whereas Wonder Woman Earth 1, Morrison talked about how she wouldn't do that if she comes from a society that fled that philosophy thousands of years ago. They'd have their own philosophy about how fighting works and what it means to win, what victory is. And so Wonder Woman choosing not to fight but to love is a cool idea. Some of the physics of this, though, wherein she uses love to just take Darkseid's power away. I mean, anyone else thinking Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, where he puts his hands all over Professor Quirrell and kills him? That's just kind of what I'm reminded of. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. I thought that was pretty... I don't know. I'm iffy on it. So, the one thing I did enjoy, I'm only, so-so on. Kuma Ranger says, the problem with all this post-Rucka is that Wonder Woman is a bit part in her own book. Honestly, the whole Darkseid's quest for gaining power should have been in its own miniseries. Yeah, I can kind of see that. And that actually is interesting to go into because the gods all leave Darkseid, and so Darkseid is left a smoldering pile of Omega energy. They believe he's dead. Yada yada, Jason, yada yada, comes back, gets a spear, Grail's left with Ares, and Ares is looking all creepy and weird, and I don't know what to make of it. But then the epilogue is somewhere on Earth, and we just have this young gray-skinned guy and his thoughts. Where am I? Who am I? That's the question, isn't it? Let me find the answer. Next, the Dark Gods. So that's gonna, I guess, lead into Justice League Odyssey, which has a younger, less powerful Darkseid. Okay. Cool. Whatever. I really don't care how we get there. I am just curious about Darkseid being on the Justice League. And for Cejic's art is why I'm buying that. This... Akuma Ranger says, is Robinson coming back? I don't know. If this was his big conclusion, it's not much of a conclusion because he leaves a cliffhanger with Grail, he leaves a cliffhanger with Darkseid. The cliffhanger with Darkseid may be just to throw the baton over to Williamson and Cejic on Odyssey, but I don't know. It's just okay. At its best, and this has been its best, it is just okay, kinda bad. It is just... It would be bad if I cared enough, you know? And that's the opposite of a good thing. I'm just waiting for Williamson to go on to another book. I need someone else on this book badly. Kind of the thing that makes me glad that people don't do 100-issue runs very often anymore. Alright, let's go ahead and go on to Batman Beyond number 19. So it took a long ass time to get there. But we finally got Robin Beyond in the form of Matt McGinnis. Cool. Cool. He does 2 things. No, my bad, 3 things. He does 3 things. Takes out the Robin cycle, and Bruce kind of coaches him and tells him not to attack directly, but to shut off the power to Payback's generators or whatever. Take out the backup generator, and then when Payback's about to pull a suicide move or something, Matt busts in with the Robin cycle and runs him over. Okay, cool. Matt's Robin now. It's just like, it was a lot of build-up, and this is just a bit on the underwhelming side. It's not bad. It's just, he does 2 things. And of course, Terry's mad that that Matt put on the costume and went out endangering himself and all that stuff. And it did put him in direct danger, because this Payback guy did almost attack and kill Matt. So, you know, it's just okay. And he says, we're going to have a talk about this, but I need to take care of one other thing first. And then he goes to Stalker's village and feeds the people, which is nice. That's cool. Just an okay issue. I like Jurgens' writing well enough. He just really knows how to stretch some shit. I'm sorry if my voice sounds weird tonight, guys. I'm a bit stuffed up, but he really knows how to just stretch some shit out. This just going on forever, and then Robin shows up, and it's pretty underwhelming, all things considered. And Dana's there, and she's saying that she's gonna report Bruce to child services, which is okay, fair enough. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Just okay. I was really into the twist they had with Payback, that he was the kid's father and his son had committed suicide and he blamed Batman for that. That was a really interesting turn. They don't really do that much with it here. Terry beats him with Matt's help, obviously. And Terry just has, like, kind of, I don't know, it's a fairly obvious little lecture. Payback says, this can't end now, not until you've paid. And Terry says, you're the one who's paying, Stanton. You're paying for all the times your own son was begging for attention, even as you ignored him. You're the one who drove him to hopelessness, forced him into a pit of despair so deep that he took his own life. Now you get to live with that for the rest of your life. I don't know, that's just fairly predictable. Jurgens is just aight. He's just aight. He's got his moments. He's got some pretty good ideas. I just don't think he knows how to quite sell them. And he kind of, at least I feel, he really, in my experience, kind of drags out things. And maybe that's just the double shipping format or something that he has trouble with. I don't know. He's just okay. Same as this book. It's just okay. Sorry. Art-wise, I don't know. I like some of this stuff. Anytime they make the Batman symbol on the suit glow, I kind of dig it. It's just cool looking, you know? I like that. That's just, it looks cool. So the art's pretty good. Ooh, I didn't even notice that. Look how it's like projecting. That's pretty neat. That's a nice effect. It doesn't really seem to do anything. He doesn't like Iron Man chest arc reactor it or anything like that. But, Alright. Let's go ahead and move on. Wait, before I move on. What happened to the facility that Payback's son was in? They don't go into it at all. No mention of it. Which, what can you do? Alright. Let's go ahead and move on to Exiles, number 2. I'm 2 issues in and I'm exhausted by this book. That's like the worst possible situation you can find yourself in. I am 2 issues in to what should be a fun, cool romp through the Marvel multiverse. And I'm exhausted by this book. And that's disappointing. Like, what happens in this issue, Ian? The same thing that happened in last issue. They go from universe to universe recruiting people. And they basically explain, hey, there's a crisis. They've gotten it down in just a couple panels this time. But then they get Valkyrie and they get Wolvie. They get Valkyrie and Wolvie on the team this time. And they just deal with little mini crises while they're in their universe. Valkyrie is fighting this giant dude, and they help her by fighting off his little foot soldiers. And then she joins with them because the Time Lactus, that's what I'm going to call this time-eating Galactus kind of guy, the Time Lactus eats her universe. And then they go to another universe that's super cutesy, and they meet Wolvie at Xavier's Playtime Fun School for Gifted Youngsters. And I'll admit, that's adorable. And they help Wolvie look for the stolen pies. And they find little Magneto has stolen pies. Okay, this is fun. I can get into this. We're just going to go universe to universe and solve problems. This is a crazy, wacky thing. I even like this line Blink has. Okay, just speaking as a mutant right now, this is bizarre. Just in seeing Wolvie and little Magneto fighting over pies. That's pretty good. I even like how, like, Blink takes out little Magneto. Okay, that's it. You set those pies down now, mister, or no one here is going to play with you. Why, yes, ma'am. I thought it'd be fun to take the pies, but I didn't know everyone would get mad at me. I'm sorry, Wolvie. It's okay, buddy. We're still friends. That's cute. That's fun. Then the universe ends again, and they have to go to the next place. But now they're back on Blink's Earth. So it's a little change up at the end here. And they kind of like, I don't know, it's another, like, it's deeper into an explanation. They're just asking questions. This is just not the way to do this, like, at all. It feels padded. This is not the Exiles. This is the Expositioners. Let me explain the way I think this premise should work. Blink doesn't get taken to the moon and explained to by this Exile Watcher one-time Nick Fury, whatever the fuck this guy's got going on. And then go universe to universe getting stuff explained to her. The way you should have done this is this guy notices the problem and calls all of them to him at once, explains it one time, saying, I took all of you right before your universes were about to be eaten. Now you gotta work together to find a way to solve this problem. And then at half an issue in, we are now ready for wherever issue 3 or 4 puts us here. Because I have no doubt in my mind they're going to do at least half an issue in 3 getting to the reason that I am picking up the book, that I got excited about the book, to Peggy Carter Captain America. I just know, I can just tell by reading this, it's going to take a while to get there, and then when they get there, they're going to have to spend more time explaining it to her. This is just... I saw the writer on Twitter talking about how this is a book that is friendly to new readers. And I can't help but feel like they are trying to write something where you don't have to know a bunch of stuff going into it, no matter which issue you start on. But that's what this page is for in a Marvel book. You have to be willing to work within the formatting of not only your form, but your company. I just don't understand what would be appealing about this, because I'm trying to put myself into the mindset of a new reader that heard Exiles was going to have female Captain America with Peggy Carter and Valkyrie in it. And I'm like an MCU fan, and I'm like, yes, that's what I want. I want to read something with those characters. And so I go out and I buy it on issue 1. And I just get bombarded with exposition that's re-explaining the full thing. The whole thing over and over again. I don't need that. Even if I'm a newbie to comics, universe-ending event, explain one time. I'm good. Now I'm a newbie and I missed the first issue, but maybe I saw Valkyrie on the cover of this one, so I'm ready to hop on it. Okay. Again, that's what I have this page for. I'm sorry. Wanting to get new readers with every issue just isn't a good enough excuse to just be doing the same thing 2 issues in a row. It was exhausting by the end of the first issue. It feels just as exhausting here. I'm giving this... I honestly, I don't even want to give it one more issue, but I've got to see how he characterizes Peggy Carter. But even if she's really well characterized, because I'll get to some positives in a second here, I don't trust this writer. I just don't feel like they have a good grasp on how to tell a story like this. That's all it comes down to. I do want to be a little positive. I talked about liking some of the fun style of the whole Wolvie thing. I also really like the way Valkyrie is written. Of all things, she reminds me of, what is it, Superhero Squad? Like the really cute Avengers show. It reminds me of the Thor from that show. And Valkyrie's she's here, she's got a big smile on her face in battle as she's riding a Pegasus. Thine infernal villainy is known well enough in Asgard, Zircher, but thou hast transgressed even more boldly this day, and now you face the instrument of thy chastening. Now you face Valkyrie! That's fun. That's cool. She's got this really epic feel to her. They spend 2 panels, and I'll give it credit. The exposition has gotten scrunched down a little bit, but it's still it's still very expositionary. Like they introduce themselves to Valkyrie. That's hard to explain. Short answer, a creature called the Time Eater is destroying reality, and we're looking for someone who's supposed to help us stop it. And I'm pretty sure that's you. Also, I want to talk about the blocking in this panel, but hold on. And Valkyrie's response, a quest then? You seek Valkyrie's aid for some epic adventure, and, sort of, Thy words should sound mad to mine ears, yet to mine heart they ring true. And verily Valkyrie has borne for such valorous a tasks. I like the way Valkyrie's characterized. It's fun to read her. And so it gives me some level of hope that even though I don't feel this writer has a strong grasp on how to tell a story, they seem to have a pretty strong grasp on how to write characters. Or at least dialogue. But I want to talk about the blocking in this panel, because I just find this weird. And to be fair, I didn't notice this my first time, but just like, look at the way that these two are set up. When Blink is talking to Valkyrie. That's weird, right? Like, let me grab something. Do I have anything nearby? No. I'm gonna have to grab something from over here. Hey, Dexter, I'm borrowing you. Alright. So, yes, I'm a grown man and I have stuffed animals. I got Dexter here. Here's me blocked to have a conversation with someone. Alright? See how we're facing each other? That's natural conversation style, is you look right at each other, you're looking in the eyes, right? Now, in stage, of course, you have what's called cheating, which is you want to be able, for the audience to be able to hear you, so you want to talk toward the audience. So you both kind of, like, look, like, pull your body forward, but look generally at each other as you talk. This is called cheating. They're straight doing this. Like, she's not even looking in the same direction. I got, like, Valkyrie's kind of, like, behind her looking down, and Blake's kind of just off. It's weird. That's bad blocking. So, yeah. Expositioners number 2. I'm highly disappointed in this book. And that's unfortunate. Alright. R.I.P. headphones. Let's hear, what's Philip Kelton saying? The problem with getting new readers is they are addressing the problem to. In my opinion, what they need to do is make more self-contained graphic novels, then maybe do recap issues of the history of the characters for Comic Book Free Day. And if the issue is people ain't reading comic book, maybe moving to a webcomic format. It's not a bad idea. I will give Marvel some credit. They are making some moves that I am impressed by. What is it? They're gonna start getting rid. Oh, well, that's not the book that I was just talking about. They're gonna start getting rid of the way that the numbering works. So this isn't the best book to do it with, but instead of like number 2 as the issue being highlighted, for books that have, you know, huge legacies, they're going to start doing a legacy number somewhere much less obvious. And they're going to be focusing on the number of the story arc. And that's good. Because I know certainly when I was starting to get into comics, I found comics that had like 700 issues really fucking intimidating. So this is a good move, I feel, as they go forward. I hope it'll get new readers, but Yeah, getting people to come back to the store month to month is a big issue. You do need more self-contained stuff, and Marvel has never been good about self-contained stories. So, I don't know. We'll see what they do. Oh, sorry. Alright. Let's go ahead and move on to Darth Vader number 15. I've been pretty hit and miss on this book. This was a pretty good issue. This arc has been a lot better. Charles Soule has a talent for writing battle and thinking of cool situations to put Darth Vader in that are legitimately impressive. So, like, it opens with Vader underwater sinking in the dark. So he has to turn on his lightsaber. So that's how he solves one problem, which is being able to see. Then he has an oxygen issue. And then he has a pressure issue because he's underwater and his suit isn't built for, high pressures. So to deal with the pressure issue, he creates a force bubble. But he's obviously not going to be able to get that far out of the water that quickly to deal with his oxygen. So when he's attacked by a giant squid, he uses the force to mind control it, to let him go and bring him up to the surface. Also, I like the wet troopers. That's pretty cool. Stormtroopers with flippers are a thing I approve of. Anyways, so yeah, Vader gets the giant squid to take him basically to the surface. He actually has him meet a ship of Inquisitors, who somehow survived, of course. And then he rails him for coming after him to rescue him instead of going after the Jedi now that they have his location. And so it kind of becomes a race thing. The king is saved. Akbar attacks a Imperial landing platform using some pretty clever techniques and takes it down. The king and Akbar discuss stuff and decide to decide that they need to go warn the Jedi what's happened and that his location's been given up because the Inquisitors are on their way. And meanwhile, Tarkin gets a pretty cool moment that I'll talk about. But he decides to escalate things and call in reinforcements. The moment that Tarkin got that I really liked is the Mon Calamari? Yeah, the Mon Calamari keep having all these tactics and weapons that the Empire didn't know about. And so Tarkin's getting pretty pissed off at this Imperial intelligence officer who is supposed to know all this stuff. And he says to have him fitted for a set of stormtrooper armor and brought down to the surface to fight, because then he might be of some use. That was pretty sweet. I quite enjoyed that. So this book's been picking up. It's been pretty hit and miss, mostly miss. This recent story arc's been getting quite a bit better, so I'm reasonably pleased with the direction it's going. Let's hope Charles Soule can keep it up. And I like how clever he is with like different, when you think about what a Star War would be like, obviously tactics would have to change depending on which planet you're on. So he's doing some pretty clever stuff with how the Empire would have to deal with Mon Calama, and how the Mon Calamari, what kind of tactics they would have to deal with surface invaders. So I'm digging it. It's pretty good. All right. final single issue of the week is Trinity number 22. And so I just noticed this. DC started doing this whole thing where they got the logo for the book, like, on the side of the book. So you got, like, the Flash logo. And I don't know why I didn't pick up on this the last couple times, but the Trinity doesn't have its own logo. It's just using Justice League logo. Trinity needs its own logo. That's all. Just, I mean, obviously it's going to be like a T or maybe a 3 or something. But yeah, Trinity needs its own logo. To be perfectly honest, that's the most interesting thing I have to say about this book. This is another poorly written, to be kind, Robinson story. It's just not good. It's not like outrageously bad or anything. It's not even the kind of thing that's like fun to make fun of. It's just not good. Like, you got this sorcerer, I don't even remember his fucking Demos. Yeah, Demos. You got this sorcerer Demos who's fighting the Trinity. He's transformed Steve Trevor into a giant ogre, and Steve's attacking Wonder Woman while Superman and Batman are all like tied up. And Wonder Woman's trying to get through to Steve. And Batman's whole plan is, enjoying this, aren't you, Demos? Go on then, gloat. Appeal to his vanity and he'll tell me what I need to know. What, tell you my plans like a grand art villain? Be serious. Well, that's what you are, isn't it? Says Superman. Yes, Clark, get him talking. Who are you trying to fool, Demos? I can see it on your face. Same look I've seen on countless foes before you. You're trying to stay cool, but inside you can't wait to tell us everything. Is it so obvious? Very well, then. Fucking really. It's fucking Austin Powers, man. It is, like, okay, it is a cliche of comic book storytelling that the villain cannot resist the urge to reveal their whole plan. Fucking pointing out that the villain can't resist the urge to tell their whole plan does not excuse that you are using this cliche. And, like, it's not, like, clever or anything. Batman's plan is to get him to reveal his whole plan. Demos can tell that's what he's trying to do. And Demos, like, reveals what his plan was and weaknesses within what he's done. And Batman's able to figure out how to save the day. It's just not clever. It's not smart. This is like the most forgettable kind of comic book writing to me. Which is too bad because the art on this book has just been fucking killer. I feel really bad that someone wasted their talent on such a trite-ass plot. Patch Zircher has done some really beautiful artwork on this book to get the whole Trinity together. And it's just not a good book. Like, there's cool ass images in here. Wonder Woman fighting ogre Steve Trevor is pretty neat. But I just don't care because it's really poorly written. It's just the definition of disappointing. It is the... Like, guys, Justice League Action is written better than this book. And that's just like a fun show meant for kids. That is literally all that show is. Like, we're not going to get deep. We're not going to get into, like, the true meaning of these characters or the power of mythology. We're just going to have fun 10 to 15 minute adventure episodes for kids. Robinson's a professional writer that's, you know, done great work before, so I am told. This is just the definition of phoning it in. And that's disappointing. Like, I don't know, a guy who's got, like, a bigger name, a really good reputation on a book like this, he should be a great choice. And he's the weakest part of it. And that's just disappointing. That's all I got. That's all I got for it. Alright, folks, you're going to have to give me a minute. I'm going to go grab something to drink, and then we'll get into this. Speaking of drinks, I don't drink alcohol, but my boss goes back and forth to Germany a lot, and he got some beers there that he brought back. I just think this is really cool, so I bought it I got it from him as for a gift from my father-in-law, because I got one from my brother-in-law last time he did this. But this is a anniversary brew for this brewery that's been open for 500 years, 1516 to 2016. So they took their original recipe and did a new batch of it. So I thought that was pretty cool. Just a fun little thing to show off to people for, you know, shits and grins. So neat little thing. I don't know, just random thought. Thought you guys might enjoy getting a look at that. Anyway, what's this? Sorry, I'm just trying to wet my whistle before I go into JLA, so if anyone's in the live chat wants to ask a question or two, feel free. I could use a minute to breathe where I'm not just talking. I should close that door. And turn on a light. It got dark while I was recording. Philip Kelton says, "What are you drinking, Ian?" Powerade, sir. Some blue drink. I'm weird. I like Powerade much more than Gatorade. Like, significantly. Not even a choice. Not even a second's hesitation. You tell me Gatorade or Powerade. Powerade. It's so blue. I can feel how synthetic it is. It's just blue drink, you know? Just plenty of blue food. Like rutabagas and Rutabagas. Don't say blueberries. Blueberries are purple. Get the fuck out. I hope everyone appreciated that little observation for you. If you know what that was a reference to, good on you. I know this is like the pinnacle of the most entertaining thing you could possibly imagine, but I'm like really thirsty right now, so I'm gonna chill here for a minute. It's my live show. I can do what I want to. For all the new people, since I just hit 1,500 subscribers, I hope this is the kind of quality entertainment you've come to expect from my channel. Oh, man. Alright. I can do this. I can do it. I really want to finish the whole thing. Alright. I'm back. I'm in. We're doing it. I'm going full screen, so I can just focus on the book, folks. Let's do this. Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Trade Talk. We're continuing the Grant Morrison Justice League run by talking about Justice League of America, Strength in Numbers. Now the interesting thing about this volume is it is multiple story arcs that don't really have much of anything or anything at all, honestly, to do with each other. And it is got multiple writers on it. We got Grant Morrison, Mark Waid, and Christopher Priest doing stories here. So, the first story we have is by Christopher Priest, and it's about the Justice League starting back up again. Because at the end of last volume, Superman, Batman, and John Jones, I believe, I think that's who it was, decided to end the Justice League. And we don't really get much of an explanation as to why. So this first story is Christopher Priest explaining why. And it was mostly because they decided they need to be much more organized and meticulous because too much had gone wrong. So, like, they're also recruiting people, and Guy Gardner, back when he was Guy Gardner Warrior. Oh, fuck the 90s. Someone tried to argue with me the other day that the 90s were, or it was a couple months ago, that the 90s comics were better than the 2000s comics. And there's definitely an argument to be made, but at the same time, you got shit like Electric Superman and Guy Gardner Warrior, and get the fuck out. Oh, man. So anyway, they're working on getting the Justice League back together and having more recruits. Zuriel from Volume 2 is now making a return here. He gets kicked out of a church by a nun for arguing with her about whether or not, or arguing with her that God is not male nor female, but genderless. And that apparently pissed the nun off enough that she kicked an angel out of a church. I like what Priest has kind of set up here, and I think Morrison takes off with it, or maybe it's Waid in this. That Aquaman and Zuriel are kind of like a duo. That's fun. I like that idea. And we get more of that. I'll tell you about that as it goes. But anyway, so they are bringing the Justice League back together, and it is restored by the end of the issue. Yeah, that's pretty much all Christopher Priest writes. Then there's the first Morrison arc in this volume, Prometheus, and this is, I believe, a completely original character Grant Morrison created for Justice League. And so we get his origin in this first issue, where his parents were like, hippies that committed crimes and kind of like a Bonnie and Clyde thing, and they died in a shootout with police when he was a kid in the car. And he survived, and that made him hate justice. And so he kind of dedicated his whole life to, bringing down justice. So in a lot of ways, he's kind of like a reverse Batman, in a really threatening and genuinely intriguing way. So it's pretty cool to read. He does the whole go study in the mountains with the monks thing, but he finds like evil monks. So that's the thing. He uses mysticism to discover a key to a dimension. Zuriel later calls it Limbo. I'm beginning to think that Morrison's connecting... I should go grab my multiversity to see what the Phantom Zone is, and if he connects it to Limbo and a bunch of other stuff. Because I believe that's what he's... Negative space and all this stuff, because I believe that's what he's doing. So Prometheus, when he gets back to the States, he's on a mission to destroy justice, and he sees a poster of the Justice League. And so that's who he decides will be his first target. So he's got this whole plan to take out a guy who's going to get a ceremonial press ticket invite to the Justice League Watchtower that's now been reopened, and the press is getting to go there because, of course, Prometheus is going in this guy's place. Anyway. So then I like this little moment as the story continues, and Lois Lane and Clark Kent are invited to join the Justice League at the Watchtower and see what the new deal is. So John Jones takes the form of Clark Kent so that Superman and Clark Kent can be seen together by multiple reporters. I quite like that. That's pretty good. I like this moment as like Lois talks about how she can't stand to watch shape-shifting, and so Jean says, "You can turn around now, Miss Lane. I'm decent. Call me Lois, huh? People are gonna think our marriage is in ruins." It's pretty cute. So anyway, Superman shows the press around the Watchtower. Prometheus sneaks off and starts his plan to take out individual members of the Justice League and set the Watchtower aflame. I will say I quite like the premise for Prometheus. He's kind of like a evil Batman with like a more of a tech-inspired fringe where he can like download information directly into his brain. I will say it's pretty dated. His way of installing information is to copy it to a little mini CD that he puts in his helmet, and it downloads the information into his brain. That's pretty humorously dated. I don't know. Like, I guess, to be honest, the idea of, like, him hooking a USB cord or something up to the computer is probably more acceptable to my modern sensibilities, but would look just as silly 20 years from now as this does now. But, I don't know, like, if his power is to absorb information, to be able to download it into his brain, that's cool. There's got to be a better way to visualize it that doesn't feel that immediately dated, right? It's silly, is all it comes down to. So anyway, he's got plans for how to take out individual members of the Justice League. So he's got like a compound that not only lights Jean Jones on fire, but disrupts his ability to shapeshift. He sets fire to the hydroponics bay, and And he knows where that is, and this is interesting and pretty cool. Morrison, I think, has a thing for mapping stuff out. This is neat, because it's really well integrated into the story, and it gives you just, like, a really cool thing to see. Where Prometheus downloads the schematics on the Watchtower, and so they just show you the schematics of the Watchtower. That's pretty cool. I like that. You just get, like, this little, map of the Watchtower with the little numbers, and you can see what everything is. That's pretty neat. I don't know. I quite enjoyed that. So anyway, he sets the hydroponics bay on fire, which of course threatens the air supply, and they've got all these civilians up there, so they've got to worry about that. Zuriel gets sent to Limbo, which is where Prometheus has been hiding out. Huntress gets hypnotized. Morrison really likes using hypnosis in his Justice League run, I notice. Like, there's this line Prometheus has, "And as for you, haven't you been wondering why I've been using such a low, flat tone of voice? Why my helmet lights have been flickering at a rate of 10 cycles per second? Hypnosis. You can't move until I say so." Because I remember that, and there's another scene, there's another moment in a future volume where it's hypnosis. Though I will say, that seems kind of, it is a little bit on the silly side too, but just more in like a cool way. If that makes any sense. I know that's such a articulate way to explain things as a professional reviewer that I am. But like, I like the way that Morrison pulls it off in the book, because you just see these images of Prometheus around Huntress, and his helmet's got little lights blinking on it. And that hadn't been happening in any of the other panels with him, and it doesn't happen for a while after. And so to just get that revealed in the art, and then to have it explained just in the text in a way that you couldn't perceive beforehand, is kind of a clever little way to make the book feel deeper than it is just in the medium. So that was neat. Prometheus has a program with the 30 best fighters in the world on it that is going to download directly into his brain and allow him to fight Batman. He says, "I should tell you, the odds don't look good. Batman's all confident for you." "You think so? You think you're unbeatable? Maybe I should tell you something else. One of those 30 on my disc, Batman, is you." So that's, I don't know, that's a pretty kick-ass moment. I like shit like that. That's pretty cool. Green Lantern notices he can't concentrate because of some kind of mental fuzz that Prometheus is spreading in the air. Able to take out Batman. This is an intimidating ass image. "I don't know a dozen ways to defeat every single one of you. I have dossier files on every superhero on the planet. I've been planning for this." Anyway. "What's all this did you say about my speed and bombs and stuff from the Flash?" So, Green Lantern's got some kind of neural shaft. It doesn't work on Flash's high-frequency brain, but it interferes with your brain electricity. It's like giving your thoughts the flu. So Kyle can't concentrate to will the ring, which I really like. And Flash can't run to beat this guy because Prometheus has claimed that he's put motion sensor bombs all over the space station. So if they explode, there's not only the chance that they directly kill people, but it creates a breach and everyone dies. So, clever. And then Prometheus shows up in front of Superman and says, the only way I'm going to let all these people live is if you kill yourself, Superman. So don't waste my time and just do it. But then Steel and Plastic Man are able to turn the tables on Prometheus and start to save the day. Aquaman stops the fires that Prometheus started up. And surprise, surprise, one of the reporters the whole time had been Catwoman. And she betrays Prometheus and takes him out. And so everything kind of starts to unravel on him, as he didn't plan it out as far as he thought. So he goes back to Limbo and sends Zuriel back. Yeah, it was kind of cool. He's a pretty good villain for the Justice League. I like him as kind of like this reverse Batman. Prometheus is a cool character, who I don't remember ever hearing from ever again. What can you do? Next story we got is The Strange Case of Dr. Julian September, which I'm pretty sure is by Mark Waid, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Synchronicity. Yeah, this is where Mark Waid starts to write for the book. And this is like a scientist who figures out the formula for luck and starts changing the fundamental rules of the universe. I don't know, this is kind of cool, it's kind of fun. It's whatever. I don't really have that much to say about it. It's just things start going crazy. Mark Waid does a pretty good job of just writing a galactic situation that's nuts, and he has a lot of fun with the premise. Green Lantern's in Washington dealing with 7 supervillains. John, DEFCON 1, hurry, man. Flash and I are getting our butts handed to us by 7 supervillains who decided to kidnap the president. John, we'll be right there. In the meantime, identify the group's leader, scramble their communications, and no, can do. That's the craziest part, John. They didn't come here together. I'm serious. By pure coincidence, all 7 picked this moment to strike. Now they're madder at each other than they are at us. So I like this idea that this guy has created a formula to bottle luck, as it were, but it's fucking with the laws of probability throughout the universe, and it's causing the universe to just unravel into all this crazy coincidences. So, I don't know, that's pretty cool. It starts to make some things go wrong, and people start disappearing, which is pretty neat. Batman kind of figures it all out and explains everything that's going on, why the number 7 keeps popping up, what's so important. And I really like this. Psychologist Carl Jung claims synchronicity was a psychic memorandum, a reminder that the universe has an underlying order. I'm not sure I buy into that, but I do accept that fate or chance or the universe is using synchronicity to tell us something critical about what September has done and what has to be put right. The 7s are a message, and they mean... And Batman just blinks out of existence because 2 bullets caused his parents to never die. 2 bullets killed his parents. What if the chances were just slightly different and they survived? So Batman never became a thing. Waid has a lot of fun with that. So now the Justice League has to come up with what to do without him. And they have to figure it out again and all this stuff. And you get Oracle working with the Justice League here, and she has some interesting moments where Bruce calls her and he's coming there with his mom and dad. And I really like the way Waid plays with that device in particular, as all this craziness is going on. The Atom shows up and Martian Manhunter disappears. And just is like this, there's this really good intense thing as they work to set the universe right. And Barbara's just like sitting there looking at her door as Bruce and his parents are coming up. Please God, I don't think I can bear to see who's coming through the door. They set the universe right, though, just in time as the door begins to open, and suddenly Batman comes through the door instead of Bruce with his parents. So there's a very monkey's paw kind of ending there. I quite like that. That was really fun. So, pretty good issue. The next arc is Mystery in Space. And this is where Electric Superman is gone. Thank God. This arc is also written by Mark Waid. I do love the way that Waid introduces classic Superman again, where Orion's in the Justice League trophy room, and he accidentally sets off a missile that's about to breach, but then Superman comes in and stops it. So yay, classic Superman back to save the day. Thank God. Electric Superman is a lot of things, most of them ugly. Man, I could write a paper on how bad Electric Superman is. And it's Mark Waid's a pretty good writer, and you can kind of tell when he just doesn't give a fuck, because this feels like the most editorial line I've ever read in a comic book. Hey everybody, gather around, look who's back and faster than a speeding mortar. Clothed in the familiar red and blue, for good. Once after I helped rid the world of the Millennium Giants, my electromagnetic energy dispersed, returning me to normal. Editor's note, in Superman Forever. Yeah, okay, whatever, no one cares. Superman's back to the proper... Like, can we just acknowledge that for, the last 5 years, Superman fans have been bitching about the Trunks being gone, and now the Trunks are back, and it's a huge fucking event? Y'all had to fucking deal with goddamn Electric Superman in the 90s. You should feel grateful that when they redesigned him for New 52, all he lost was the Trunks, instead of his whole fucking identity with a goddamn Electric Superman. Christ, shit. Oh. So Mystery in Space is interesting because the League gets kidnapped by Adam Strange, and forced into slavery to rebuild his planet. He seems to have gone mad, thinking that his wife is alive and she's coming back, and he's forcing his population and now the Justice League to rebuild the planet. And so there's attempts to escape, and there's a lot of craziness, and yada 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 yada. Flash at one point comes up with a plan to lend his speed to Superman, Wonder Woman, and Martian Manhunter so they can all go take out Adam Strange before he can get assistance. But then they're also betrayed by Martian Manhunter, who's the only one that's read Adam's mind. And they're being forced to work. But then Steel, who's now on the League, comes up with a plan and uses the Mother Box to shield his thoughts and start a revolution. Anyway, so yeah, they're able to free the Justice League and defeat Adam Strange, but then Jean says, you ruined the whole plan. I know it was wrong to keep you in slavery, but Adam, we might as well tell them now while there's still something we can do. And so Adam goes through the whole thing of he was just rebuilding his planet as a ruse to create a giant Zeta beam which teleports people. Zeta beam projector to get rid of this invading army that's coming. And so the Justice League has to help him save his wife from the army and in time for the Zeta beam to send them away. Which is... I like this moment because Strange suggests that Flash lend his speed to Superman so Superman can outrace a beam of light before it hits the ship. That's pretty good. I quite like that. There's this other moment that I really like. This little bit where they're talking about Strange's plan. God damn it, where's it at? Damn it. Where did I hate that I can never find these. There's this great line, though, that Adam has that just, like, gives you a sense of the Justice League and how cool they are. As they talk about... As they talk about the aliens coming and everything that he set up and all this stuff. Damn, why can't I find it? I hate that feeling. Entire world. No threat, arrival, offer. God, I hate this. It was such a good line, and I just can't find it. You'll have to forgive me. I'm going to totally cut this part out in the edited version, because usually I do not take this long to find one goddamn line of dialogue. Fuck. I swear it was on one of the panels with the ship. No. Fucking Christ. What, like, I feel like I'm making the line up now in my head. With the screaming man and sensed and threat. I couldn't tell you the truth, but I couldn't tell John, who shielded himself with his own telepathy, blah, blah, blah. And he's still chilling. I feel like I lost pages or something. Flash can lend speed. Brace yourself, Soups. I'm not holding back. Fucking finally, God. So this is like a cool line that just gives you a sense of like the impact or the scale of the Justice League. You were counting on all this coming together. Wasn't that one hell of a gamble? If I'd contacted the 7 soldiers of victory, it would have been a gamble. I brought the Justice League. That's a plan. Oh, it's such a good line. It was worth the look. For those watching this after the fact, I just spent like 3 minutes looking for that fucking line. But you got the edited version, so kudos for you for watching the edited version of this. But yeah, like, that's just a really cool moment. So Adam Strange's plan works out. His wife and child are brought home, but he unfortunately gets teleported back to Earth with the Justice League. So, overall, Mark Waid, pretty good Justice League writer, too. He definitely gets a sense of it, and even though I plan to just review Morrison's run, I do have the first volume of Waid's, and I'm gonna have to take another look at Tower of Babel. by the time I get done with Morrison stuff. So then the final arc in this is Conqueror. And this is the one I always forget where it's at. Because I remember that Grant Morrison wrote Sandman in his Justice League run. I can never remember where it is. And that's mostly, I think, because there's a volume called American Dreams. And so you would assume with a title like that, that's where Sandman would be. But it's not. It's in Strength and Numbers. So this one all starts out with a dream that a kid is having about being in a world and something's not right and he doesn't know what's wrong, but something's missing, and he tries to sketch it out and put a name to it. He can never quite remember what's missing, though. So that's what he's drawing. And then we cut to reality, where almost everyone in the world's asleep except for the Justice League. And we don't know what's going on. And so the Justice League is working to try to figure it all out, when a mysterious presence of an abstract nature just appears on the watchtower. Sandman. And he explains the situation of what's going on. And everyone's like, I swear I recognize you. It's like, we've met before. Sandman, whoever you are, wherever you came from, right now we need answers. What do you know about what's happening? It is much older than you can imagine. It has been stalking this world, and now, like a tiger, it strikes. It conquers first in dreams, then in reality. Our loved ones are under threat, Sandman. It sounds like some kind of alien, Superman. We don't really know what it is or what it does. All who sleep here dream its dream. They will become first its slaves, and then finally its nourishment. And the feast will attract others, divisions of it. Your people will die in chains. It will exhaust your world's resources and pass on. You will have become it. And so, like, they're like, what are you here to do? I heard a child calling from the depths of the dream in which he drowns. He was calling you. I took pity on him, and I come here to bring you his petition. If you are who you claim to be, Sandman, you must have the power to protect the Dream Kingdom from any threat. Must I? This is about a child's faith, not about the extent of my sovereignty. He clings to the belief that you will come to his rescue, even though he can barely remember what you are. If you do not, he will wake in its power, like everyone else. They will be it. You will succumb in the end to it. Now, of course, what is it? Starro. So what I really like about the way Morrison's writing this, and if it were anyone else, I'd assume it was a coincidence, but with Morrison, I give him a lot of faith, and I trust that he actually knows what he's doing. Because in Sandman, there's a whole story, the cat story, where the cat gathers the other cats and tells the cats a story about how the world used to be this way, where cats were large and the dominant species, and they chased humans and ate them as prey, and they ruled the earth. But then one night, all of humanity dreamed the same dream, and suddenly everything changed, and it made humans the rulers. So this cat tells this story because it understands the power of dreams, and it wants to inspire all the now, powerless house cats to dream of the way things used to be and change it all back. And that's the same method that was used in Sandman Overture to change the rules of the universe through dream. And that's really profound and interesting idea. And it's kind of what's happening here. Starro attacks first in dreams. It makes everyone on a planet dream its dream, that they live under its subjugation. The first issue opens with this narration of what the kid is thinking about. Michael Haney's got something on his mind. He even forgot the words of the oath in class today. I pledge allegiance to the conqueror, and said something different. It's not just because he got in trouble. He knows something's not right with the world. So he's like, it's right on the edge of making its dream into the people's reality. They were all going to wake and be a part of it, conquered by it, because they were conquered by it in their dreams. I love that connection. That is so cool. So Sandman takes Superman, Wonder Woman, and Green Lantern to its dream so that they can save the child. And I don't know, Green Lantern gets kind of a cool moment, but it doesn't really amount to all that much, at least in my opinion, where Sandman tells him, your wishing ring may prove the most effective weapon here, Green Lantern. Yes, that's so cool. Of course it would, because it's a dream. You can do anything. That's pretty neat. And then there's like this moment where Morpheus tells him that he's going to surpass Hal Jordan because you know something that he could never learn. Yeah, Hal Jordan was the best. Everybody knows that. Everybody keeps telling me that no matter what I do. I met him. The guy was a star. What could I possibly know that he didn't? Fear. You will surpass it. It's a really cool moment. It doesn't really amount to much in this, but it's still cool as shit. So anyways, there's this kid, though, that's just hanging on to the Justice League in the back of his head. He knows something isn't right with the world, and he just needs the name. Michael Haney has a name on the tip of his tongue. Every time he looks at his drawing, the name floats up so close to the surface he can almost taste it. It knows everything. It sees everything. And then Sandman appears. It is not absolute ruler of this country, Michael. Something like a ghost is standing in Michael Haney's room. And it's telling him something he's known all his life. Believe and you'll be saved. I love this so much. I love like the Superman symbol wasn't quite right. It was just floating right on the edge of right. And Daniel shows up and finishes the drawing. But it's just his imagination. Everybody has always said he has a vivid imagination. Everybody knows he's a weird kid. It knows. And so, like, they're approaching him, Starro in the dream, approaching him, trying to take him over, make him forget, make him dream its dream. Nobody's coming, Michael. There's nobody here but it. Forever and ever. Superman! And Superman from across the dreaming there. They're losing their powers in the dreaming. It knows that they're there. We have no powers. There are millions of them, and there's a child in there who needs us to save the world. Let's go. If that is not the most Superman-ass epic moment, I don't know what is. It's so good, y'all. So good. Oh, I love it so much. Meanwhile, IRL, there's a giant Starro attached itself to the Earth. And so Aquaman, Flash, and Martian Manhunter are trying to deal with that, as well as Batman. And that's all fine and okay, but the dreaming, the Sandman stuff is what really does it for me here. So anyway, they rush there to go save the day. And like try to help him and save him and everything, and they're getting mauled by all the Starro infected, and Superman gets face hugged. Not far away, grotesque inhuman shouting dies away, and for a moment, all seems lost. Superman's been attacked, and then he remembers everything. Superman! Superman! Saves the day. Blasts it off his face and saves the kid. Faster than a speeding bullet. I've got you, son. Oh, it's too good. It's just too good. It's the definition of too good. Who's the artist on this? Because this does not look like Howard Porter anymore. Because it looks really good. And that's like a real dig at Howard Porter. And I know. And I shouldn't be a dick. It's Howard Porter. Yanick Paquette does some of the art in this volume. And I'm just trying to place which arc he worked on, because I swear the art in The Conqueror is just too good for this. Like, I know that's kind of harsh, but seriously, it's too good. Maybe he's the one that did the Dr. September crazy reality warping story. No, Howard Porter as well. Huh. Prometheus? What the fuck did Yanick Paquette do? Arnie Jorgensen. Did he do the Christopher Priest intro issue? I'm so confused. It must be. That's crazy. This will probably be some of his earliest stuff then, I imagine. Yeah, Yanick Paquette did the Christopher Priest thing. Okay. Sorry, that was distracting, but I just got really curious. But yeah, you start to get some really, really cool images in here. Howard Porter, his art stops looking so 90s-ish when he does stuff like that with Orion. Oh, by the way, Orion and Barta joined the team. It doesn't really make much of a difference. It just doesn't. I do like, I mentioned earlier that I like the relationship, the duo that Zuriel and Aquaman are starting to build up. So Orion kind of goes off half-cocked and nearly kills Aquaman, but Zuriel comes in and saves him at the last minute. I have you! The fish and fowl team do the impossible. Aquaman says, Zuriel, I owe you my life, but don't ever call us that again. Good stuff. Anyway. So they're able in the dreaming to start taking back reality. Start to destroy its dream. And it's at that point that like Kyle gets to kind of defeat it in the dreaming, but it's, I don't know, it's 2 panels. It's kind of disappointing. Especially with how cool it hinted at, like, yeah, of course Green Lantern being the most powerful regular superhero in the dreaming. It's mostly a Superman story. It tries to run, it tries to hide, but the dream is everywhere, as Daniel Sandman comes in and knocks it out with some sand. I love it. It's cool. Epilogue, the dreaming. Somewhere it struggles to move, to divide. It is aware, it knows. And what it knows is fear. It comprehends at last the truth all conquerors learn, that there's always someone bigger than you are. And so Sandman has now kept Starro as a pet. I really like this. You got the Corinthian there. What else is in his little treasure chest? You can't really see much of anything. That was pretty cool, though. So, I really like this volume. You get a lot of stories in here. A lot of really great, just 2-issue arcs that are really fun. So Strength in Numbers is another great volume in this just fantastic run. Mark Waid really starts flexing some muscle. The Christopher Priest issue, I don't know, it'd be skippable if not for the Prometheus story. But the Prometheus story is there. It's kind of just like a prologue as to why the media is being brought on to the Justice League Watchtower. That's all, really. That's all you need it for. Zuriel is such a great choice for the Justice League. To have something from Judeo-Christian mythology just on the Justice League is probably too controversial to keep long term, but I love the idea of it. Wonder Woman's from Greek mythology. Why not have Zuriel be from... why not have a character from Judeo-Christian mythology? Because angels are friggin' ridiculous in some of the Old Testament stuff, so I'd be down for that. Ultimately, though, this just great stuff. Sandman's in it. You gotta love it because Sandman's in it, and it's got Sandman in it, so you gotta love it because Sandman's in it. Anyway, that'll do it for this episode of Trade Talk. Everyone, thanks very much for watching. Bye. How's the live comment? In the review quality I come for. Let's see here. What's going on? Hi, Jake. Sorry you missed me talking about Flash, but you can go back and watch. Show your best comic in the best edition. I'm not sure what you mean by that, Fernando Flores. And I'm not sure when you posted that or if you're still here. So if you want to repost that, I would be glad to do what I think you're asking me, I guess. I'm not sure what that means. Hi, Jake. Glad you could make it. Late as all hell, but hey, nonetheless. People, I think that's going to do it for this episode of Comic Reviews, though. I ain't got much. I'm going to do just a quick reminder. April 28th, at 2 p.m., we'll be doing a live show. It'll be the monthly comic roundup for the month of April. So, hope people can make it there live. Check that out. That'll be with me and Vacuminator. We'll be talking about the best comics from each week of April. And then there's a voting video. Mustn't forget to tell y'all to vote for the next episode of the Comic Book Club. Comic Book Club is a show where we talk about relatively self-contained books and do a recap, review kind of thing on them. And this week, we're taking votes for what the next episode will be. So the video is up now. Go ahead and go there and vote for it. Pick which one of these books we'll be discussing on the next episode of Comic Book Club. Hope to see you there. Anyway, I think that'll do it, though, for this episode of Comic Reviews. Until next time, bye!